Hey guys, welcome back to another week of HB, keeping up with me. So today, or this week I guess, is the official launch of my Road to Worlds program. So for those of you that have had memberships to the Biolayne Workout Builder for a little while, if you happen to be poking around on the website over the last 4 days, you will have seen that program kind of had a soft launch. It went up on Friday last week. So I had a few of you message me and be like, Holly, what is this? Is this true? So it has been up for a couple of days now, but we did the official announcement of that program just yesterday. So if you guys want more information about how you can join me on this journey back to stage, for you guys, it might just be, hey, you want something to be able to commit to, focus, and have some extra motivation and support along your own fat loss journey. Make sure you go and check out all of the details about the Road to Worlds. There's the training component, which uses the Biolayne Workout Builder, and then there's the nutrition component, which uses Carbon Diet Coach. And we also have a really awesome private Facebook group where a lot of you guys I notice have already joined, which is exciting. So I'll try to get on there every day and just kind of answer questions and just help support one another through the next 12 weeks. That's very exciting for me. Last week was pretty stressful, to be honest, trying to get all of that done. And because it was a very spontaneous decision, there was a lot of work that had to get done in a very short period of time. And I think I managed to piss off every single person in every single business because I was like, we need to get this done. It's time sensitive. Can you do this in a week? Can you do that in a week? How about a few hours? So we managed to get it together. So I honestly need to start with a massive thank you to all the people that support me in getting this stuff done. Massive thank you to Chris Bacuza. He is the behind the scenes guy for Biolayne. He kind of manages the website and kind of getting everything together. So huge thank you to him for dropping what he had going on in our other businesses to kind of get that all live on the site. And then of course, super boss, Sean Baker. So he does a lot of our graphics, puts things together, and he managed to put together all of the promotional materials in a very brief amount of time. So thank you to those guys for helping with that. Like I said, this week has been really stressful trying to finish off all of those things. And not to mention, I had probably the most important guest presentation where I was speaking probably in my entire career, if I'm being honest. I've done a lot of work traveling with Lane. We've done many international tours, and I find that because we have lots of time to prepare for them, they usually kind of put on the schedule 6 months, 8 months in advance. I have time to kind of work through, put my presentations together, and I like to rehearse. I really am not very good at sticking to like a structure. So when it comes to presenting in like a PowerPoint kind of setting, I really get a lot of anxiety because I worry that I'm going to miss something. Whereas if I'm getting questions just fired at me, like when I do lives with you guys on all the different platforms on social media, like that's fine. I can pick a question, I can answer it in my own time. I'm not on a time crunch most of the time. So that stuff I don't mind. But when it comes to having to film and even stuff like this, if it's like an educational piece, not this is easy, but I really have a lot of stress. So this week, I'm like rushing to get the world's stuff done. Obviously, I'm still prepping. So like there's all these commitments. I still have all my clients, still have supplements that we're launching. We still have carbon go. So my stress was like Monday, I'm good. Tuesday, I'm good. And Wednesday, I'm like, and then by Saturday evening, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm gonna explode. So Lane's like, we'll go out to dinner, we'll have a date together. We can just relax. And I'm like, I don't know how much fun I'm gonna be at dinner. So we tried to go, well, we did. We went and had a few beers at a brewery near to our house, and I was just like the worst company. I felt so bad for Lane because he'd like ask a question and I'd respond, and then next thing you know, I'm like catatonic, just staring out the window. And he's like, oh babe, I'm sorry. I know this stresses you out. And I'm like, yeah. Yes, it does. So all of Saturday, I went to a party, like he and the kids. I just stayed at the office. I was like, maybe if I stay in the office, everything will just sink in better. So So I didn't go to that. And then we had another invitation because it was the Memorial weekend this weekend. Some other friends had I guess a house party with kids, of course. Took the kids. I came to the office like, I don't know, 11 o'clock, or wasn't until 4, just to kind of go over everything. So really my whole weekend, and it was beautiful as well. So I'm just sitting inside, looking longingly out the window, knowing that everyone else is having such a good time. But I think I nailed it, if I'm being honest, not to toot my own horn, but that was probably the best that I've felt speaking in a while. So definitely went and had a celebration drink afterwards. So some of the Biolayne crew were at WTR, the big pool party place here in Tampa. So yeah, I had a couple of shots of very strong, very nice tequila, and I was like, I'm good again. That's been my week, a little bit stressful. So I feel like the weight of the world is off my shoulders, and now I can really switch my focus back to not only the prep, but also just sink my teeth into some other things that I want to do better in our companies in the next few months. How did the diet go? I know that a lot of people really struggle when they are stressed and have a lot of anxiety with eating emotionally. It's kind of like if you feel that sense of frustration or, as I said, stress, anxiety, whatever it is, I'd say probably 50% of people do have that. I guess they get some kind of comfort in eating, but it's only temporary and it never ever actually solves the underlying stressor. In fact, if you have a physique goal, it can be really hard to manage that if you've got a lot of stress and you're trying to have a body composition goal that you're working towards, and that's how you're coping. It can be really quite detrimental. So despite all of that this week, I felt really in control of my thoughts. It was wonderful. And I think because I'm not so much focused on the outcome of this contest prep as far as my body, obviously that's the main goal, but psychologically I'm not attached to, that body. And I think today earlier when I was at the gym, I was talking to my training partner, Teresa, and Brian, who was filming, and it's a really interesting or strange feeling for me going into the gym, and I know I've already lost about 4 or 5 kilos, which is crazy. And I can see the differences, but there's no judgments. There isn't a really strong feeling towards how I'm looking, whereas previously that was really motivating and I loved seeing my body change, but I was being motivated for the wrong reasons. So this time it's I'm focused on the process, not so much the outcome. And I just feel really, I don't want to use the word control, because I think if you feel like you have to have control with everything, that's not necessarily a good thing. If it totally, skews your perception, or it's causing you psychological stress when you can't be in control. So it's more I just feel very comfortable and relaxed about the whole process compared to previous years. So yeah, I was looking at my legs this morning when I was doing one of the exercises. I'm like, oh, this is so weird. I can see my body is clearly changing, but I'm not yes, this is amazing. It was just, okay, cool, and get the work done. So it's kind of weird. I know you guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but I thought I would share my experiences with you. So let's go in and have a look at some of my macros for this current week. I did have to do my check-in yesterday, so I'll kind of play the screen recording for you and I'll just talk through, I guess, what happened. But before we do that, let's go and have a look at my compliance and my macro intakes throughout the week. So we'll first off have a look at my overall calorie compliance. So my check-in day is Monday through to Sunday, and then I get my new targets on Monday again. So my average weekly calorie intake this week was 1915. I had intentionally planned for a high day on Saturday. I said date night. I probably didn't even need to do that. I don't know that I really even enjoyed it. I was kind of just eating my food and having a drink and presentation tomorrow. So that probably was unnecessary, but I did have a lot of calories to work with considering they went back up last week. If you remember, I lost quite a bit of weight. So for the most part during the week, I kept it under 2,000 calories. You can see they're going through. Had a couple of days in the 16s, 2,000, 19, and then quite a bit lower on Sunday, the day that I was presenting. Definitely didn't think about food at all that day, which is again a very unusual response for me. I think previously I would have coped with stress eating didn't happen. I had that response that the other 50% of you guys do, which is you don't eat when you're stressed. So protein, as you know, I am a big fan of protein. So I'm a little embarrassed to show these ones, but 161, 211 on Tuesday. That's basically the requirements of a 200-pound man, just so you know. 180, 204, 151, 171, and then Sunday, 135. So I think my habits are, as soon as I get into prep, I'm like, okay, don't exceed your fat target, don't exceed your carbs. What protein can I look for? And then I end up just subbing out all of those for protein instead. So I'm not too concerned at the moment. I might have to have a bit of a talking to myself in a few weeks' time, but for now it's okay. I'm not going to have that luxury when my calories get a little bit lower. I don't want to be foregoing that many carbs on account of protein. Let's go and have a look at my carbohydrates on that note. So my weekly average was 189, and that's, I'm pretty sure, very close to what my actual target was. You can see I bounce around quite a bit, 207, 204, down to 171, 184, date day, 311. That was a great day. I feel like, so I made myself a sandwich cookie on Saturday night. So the kids in Lane have been having these giant M&M cookies from the bakery. Like, you know, those nice, like, they're decent. They're like 40-gram cookies. So I made an ice cream cookie sandwich with one of those on the bottom, wedge of ice cream in the middle, and then another one on the top. So that was good. And then fats, let's come across. My average intake was 51, and again, 103 on Saturday, amazing. But then pretty consistent around 50 throughout the course of the week. Okay, so we'll pop over now and have a look at my actual check-in from yesterday. So I've just gone into the app, hit in the coach's check-in page. So was I compliant to my macro targets? You can see there, I've got a big old green. My average tracked calorie intake was 1915, and my allowable range, which has 2% higher or lower, was 1902 up to 1992. So I was right in there. So I was compliant for the week. My protein didn't light up as green, but that's actually not a bad thing. I went over. So that meant that my carbs and fats were a little bit lower. So I'm happy with that. So my current weight yesterday morning was 66.7. It's asking me, is everything looking okay? Yes. And check-in complete. So it says here, looks like things didn't go as planned. It looks like your weight loss hasn't progressed as much as we hoped. For this reason, we are going to make a significant decrease to your calories. This should help speed up your weight loss to the correct rate. So if you remember back to last week, I lost a ton of weight. So the coach took me back up a little bit. However, I think that some of that weight loss was likely due to my low fiber intakes towards the end of the week, and that kind of skewed my average a little bit on the low side. The way that the coach will calculate your calories is based on the amount of weight that you've lost. If you've got 3 weeks of data, it'll look at the 3-week trend. I only had 1 week of data because I've just started fat loss. So it took me back up based on how much I'd lost from the start to the finish, or the total amount of weight loss. So it was probably a little bit higher, but that's normal in the first week when you start coaching with somebody. Even as me, as a coach with a one-on-one client, you don't necessarily know how they're going to respond in that first week. So how the coach responded is exactly what I would do. So I was a little bit high, and that meant that my weight this week didn't come down by quite as much. So my new targets to get me back on track to achieve about 0.6 to 0.7 of a kilogram each week, so that I'm lean enough on show day. I'm at 1872, about 100 calorie drop almost, and 151 protein, 191 carb, and 56 fats. So again, I can go in and adjust those macros if I wanted to. I have been eating a lot more protein, so maybe it makes sense for me to go in and put my protein a little bit higher. So I think I'm actually going to do that. So I've slid that scale up to 155, and then the coach will balance out the remaining calories for me. So that's my week, guys. I had a pretty compliant week overall. I just wasn't losing quite enough. So a little bit of a drop to calories. From an exercise point of view, I have just started a new training block, obviously. So first week for me is usually a deload. So my energy expenditure will probably go down a smidge this week because the sessions aren't quite as long. So it'll be interesting to see kind of whether I continue to meet the required rate of weight loss. I expect that it may slow down just a smidge, but probably not enough for the coach to need to make an adjustment. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of this week. I'm not adding any cardio yet beyond what I was doing last week. So I've either been doing 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, which is literally 1 minute on, 1 minute off. The intense minute, I take it up to like a level 14. So you're going pretty quick, and then I drop it back down to like a 6 or 7 to really allow me to get some oxygen back in, because it's pretty hard. So I've been doing that, and then I'll alternate from week to week with a spin class. So I guess the reasoning behind that is partly just due to motivation. Getting on the Stairmaster isn't that exciting, but if you have a class to go to, it's a little bit more enjoyable. I don't have to plan the session, I can just get in there and go and be motivated by the good music and the people with me. But also from an adaptive perspective as well. So both of those types of exercise, I'm going to have some kind of cardiovascular adaptation. I'm going to get better at it. However, if I can change that modality slightly, it may challenge me slightly differently each time because it's using or calling upon different muscle groups. My hope is that I don't get too efficient at either of those if I can keep kind of changing them out a little bit so that my fitness doesn't just keep going for that one type of activity. So that's it for this week, guys. I'm very excited. I'm very happy with my progress so far. I'm definitely looking significantly leaner again than last week, even though I didn't quite lose what I was meant to. I can see those changes happening, which is very motivating. I feel like I'm doing the right things. So if you guys have any questions about any of the programming or how we've kind of set up for fat loss, please feel free to comment. I will hop on there and respond to some questions. Until then, I guess I will see you at my next update.